Hello and welcome to this edition of Full Circle, brought to you by South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority. I'm your host, Keith Weisheit, licensed clinical social worker. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And you know, when we think about gambling, I don't know that we ever really think about who it is that's doing the gambling. We're really glad to have some people to explain that to us. First, Rebecca Davis. Rebecca, thank you for joining us. Of course, program monitor over at South Central.
Yes, sir.
We're glad to have you here. Joining her is Ed Nakam, who is one of the addiction counselors. Ed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And so one of those things that, I don't think people think about, is it really what population, but we see that teens are really gambling at a much more alarming rate than we've ever seen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, actually, in middle school, they're starting to gamble. Statistics say that 5% of children aged 12 to 17 have, compared to 1% of adults, have been gambling.
Okay.
60 to 80% of high school students report having gambled in the past year. And gambling disorders can develop in a child as young as 10 years old.
Wow. So when we see maybe some of those addictive types of behaviors, it's scary. But 50% of 6th to 8th graders are engaged in some form of gambling.
Yes.
Again, scary statistic. Ed, why is that? Why are we seeing that as compared to what we used to see?
I think with the advent of online gaming and the ease of access to the gambling, I was looking at some of the stats from last year since sports betting was legalized.
Right.
In December, 344.9 million was wagered online compared to 32.1 million sports betting retail in the actual physical casino. So,
wow.
It's just so much easier. And the barriers, I think we see this with any addiction, when we lower the barriers, the behavior explodes.
Right.
I was around some young adults during the holidays, and these are some kids I've known for pretty much all their lives. They've never been into sports. And I was amazed just watching them. All of them was into sports betting, watching the games, and I'm thinking these kids never were interested in sports today, but it's such an easy access to the young generation.
And it's scary. I mean, we're talking 10 times more gambling online than there are that face-to-face in the casino.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It takes so much more effort, right, to go and do that in those gaming opportunities versus just doing it online. It's a couple of clicks, and anybody can do it.
Absolutely. Anyone can do it. And, one of the things that we're seeing a lot, how it's even progressing, is it's not just betting on a game. There's in-game betting.
Right.
We can change our bet during the
parlays
game.
throughout the whole game. I hate the fact that I know that comment, but I've got friends who do that as well.
Right.
In-game betting as well. So it's another one of those things. And then we see people, like icons that are more involved where we wouldn't have normally seen that before. The Taylor Swift's involved in sports and those kinds of things, and really attracting a younger population of that. So what kind of things should people be looking for? What should our parents and our adults be looking for some of these risks?
Well, some of the things that how a teen may get involved in gambling is actually observing their parents gambling. And it could be playing poker at home, or even adults buying children lottery tickets. So
something as simple as that, kind of that gateway, if you will.
Absolutely.
It's normalizing that behavior.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then playing online, even just an app that's maybe not necessarily gambling, but those that you have to spend money in order to play the game. So you may have to spend money to get a weapon or to buy things like that. So that also starts it. So usually the parents gambling, their credit card is tied to that app, and they're buying different things to play the game. I worked with a person one time that spent $5,000 on Candy Crush in a month, and a person that spent $40,000 on a video game. So for a lot of teens, that's how it starts. And then with the access to online sports betting now, because sports betting is legal in 38 states.
Yep.
Now.
And it's not changing. It's not going away.
No, it's not. And whereas gambling is legal in 48 states. So there's still it's just easy access.
Right.
So those are some of the things that get the kids started. Is really watching other people do it.
Okay.
It's a problem much more for the teens or the young adults than than adults because their brains are not fully developed at that age.
Yeah.
So the logic center of the brain is not fully developed, so they often have difficulty assessing the risk. You know, so when it's advertised that you can win, you can win, you can win, that's all they hear. That's all they hear. And so that kind of increases, you know, their desire to want to engage in those activities.
Right.
Yeah. So to reduce the risk, you want to try to change the activities the child is doing. You know,
Okay.
like control their screen time. You know, like how much time are they screen time? Don't talk about gambling as a fun thing to do. You know, if the parent is engaging in some sort of gambling, don't do it in front of the children. You know, try to keep that away from them, and don't talk in a positive way about it. So again, establish clear rules with your child. If you notice your child playing any game-related apps or games, speak up and start a conversation. Start having that conversation with them. Keep an eye on their spending habits. Get more information the next time they ask for your credit card. Okay. Know the warning signs. So changes in attitude, missing school, classes, not completing assignments, showing less interest in other activities that they were engaged in before. We notice a lot of kids that will get very competitive, like overly competitive, aggressively competitive. You know, so those are some of the things to look for.
And so parents need to be on the lookout for that. Counselors, teachers need to be on the lookout for that.
Absolutely.
As we kind of move forward with that.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate the updates and the information. Thank you all for doing the research, doing the work, and helping us figure out what to do and what not.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you.
Thank
All right. And that will do it for this particular segment of Full Circle. Don't go anywhere. I'll let my local programming as soon as we continue.